So I wanted to do a video. It's Friday, and this one's not necessarily about the Mandela Effect. I may broach on that subject a little bit, but it's more so about me. I'm not doing this video to offend anyone or to try to misdirect anybody or mislead anybody down a path that you do not want to choose to go down yourself. In fact, that's kind of what all of my videos are about, really. They're not meant to draw offense to anybody, and they're not meant to be taken as some sort of a gospel positioning to follow my lead. I think everybody should make their own decision. I think that every one of us should make our own decisions. And unfortunately, as I did, as probably a lot of us did, when first discovering the Mandela Effect, we were all just kind of, well, I don't want to say we, I and my wife, so I guess I could say we're both just kind of lost and didn't know what was going on, didn't know why we were experiencing this, didn't know where to turn, couldn't find any real answers, just more questions and more seemingly alterations to our reality. Everybody and their brother claiming that they have the answer to the Mandela Effect. Finally, Mandela Effect solved. Finally. Those are all things that drove me to actually create my channel. And rightfully so, name it A Theory of Nothing, because even my theories are exactly that. They're theories of nothing. There may be some merit behind it, and all of them are proposed based on my consciousness, discovering information and building it off of my collective experiences of my past from childhood, my collective memories of my experiences, both current and from my childhood, my awareness of my surroundings, and kind of taking a lot of different things into consideration before making an assessment. In the beginning of discovering the Mandela Effect, both myself and my wife were just trying to figure it out. And even though at that point, and my wife could speak to this because she was much more religious based than I was, not a churchgoer, because neither one of us had really gone. I mean, I went to church a while ago, and she had when she was a child. She had a very, very strong religious upbringing on her dad's side of the family, and it was for sure church every Sunday. And I believe one of her uncles on her dad's side is a minister as well. So she had a little bit deeper ties to it than I did from that perspective. But I still, my grandmother was really religious. My mom was religious. My mom was non-practicing religious, so she just had her faith and belief in God, but she didn't go to church. Whereas my grandmother had faith and belief as well as went to church. But neither one ever pushed religion on me as a child. So I had studied it and made my decision a long time ago that there was no religion that would work for me, because I had too many questions that couldn't be answered. And when proposed to deacons and ministers and priests, they would just push it into my face and tell me I'm asking questions I shouldn't be asking, that I just need to have blind faith, because that's what religion is based around. Having a belief in God and having to have God within my heart, and just believing that is how it is. And then I could ask those questions of God, but there's no guarantee He would answer me. And again, I'm paraphrasing their words. There's no guarantee He would answer me, because the questions I'm asking shouldn't be asked and don't need to be answered. You just got to have faith and believe. And I take great exception to that, because that is a step forward in ignorance, in my opinion. Not to say that a creator could not exist, because I do believe that there is some form of a creator to our simulated reality that seems like, on a subatomic level, which is what we are all made up of, is atoms. Tiny, tiny, tiny atoms vibrating at different frequencies. And that there is too much, so at the atoms at the subatomic level would create, be a pixelations like of your TV screen, and that this reality that we're in now, the one that we're from, and all the ones that we have crossed since, are all some form of a simulation created by a higher functioning creature of some sort. And I use the term creature. Creature's probably not a good word for it. It's probably a mass energy of consciousness, which kind of gets into the new agey type of stuff a little bit, but still also crosses the lines into the religious section. Humans have put the paraphrasal term of God on it, and then in our egocentric way that we do things, defined it and classified it as a hymn, created a bunch of scripture and text to give other humans guidelines to follow based on what they believed. Now, again, going back to, Sumerian days and all the way back, further back. There's always been, in a lot of cultures, they believed in multi-deities, multi-gods. Some would equate them to being aliens. Others would just equate them into being a god of more than one entity. And then you get into the religions when it gets into Judaism, and that got extrapolated and turned into Christianity, Catholicism, and all so on and so forth. And they believe in a single deity, a single creator, God. But they defined rules and regulations of what you should and shouldn't do based on their thoughts and their beliefs. And when I say their thoughts and their beliefs, I mean the political systems that were governmentalish organizations to, one, group everyone together and try to have a one world government, one world organization, one world religion, thereby taxing people and getting people to be happy and content with paying that tax under the false guise that they were spreading the gospel of God. An entity you cannot see nor talk to nor have any contact with until you are gone from this world and no longer alive, and then you'll meet your maker. Which is highly possible that when we're gone, we do meet our Creator. But I don't believe our Creator as God. I would feel that it would be more of a energy of consciousness that we're part of, all of us, including if there are other creatures that are alien in nature, alien to us, alien to humans in nature, but are just other simulations of reality. Quite possibly human consciousness in alien forms. And even, I mean, you could even go as far as having angels and demons to that same level. But getting deeper into why I feel it's a simulation. No matter which universe we're in, and no matter what the past that was created by humans and created by human consciousness to bring into existence. And yes, this goes to even governing the solar system that we reside in, the stars that we're in, the galaxy that we're in, so on and so forth. That as we were created, highly, doubtfully, in the likeness of the Creator, because I don't believe the Creator is a vessel type creature. I believe the Creator would be just pure energy and consciousness, and it would have no need for form, as form can be broken down and has constraint and restriction. I believe in reincarnation, of re-experiencing of our life in our vessel as the progression of time occurs. I believe that time is, for us in our dimension of existence, always and only moving forward, lineal. Now, space-time as defined by outside of our globe, as it were, can be moving in all directions at the same time to some degree, but we're talking way outside of the understanding of our universe, whether our universe is a macro scale or a micro scale. Macro meaning vast, as the scientists tell us, or micro as being we're in essence in a contained globe that we can only go so far up into the stratosphere, which is where perhaps the ISS is, and or we take rocket ships up and whatever, but that we can never go above that level. And then they deemed it the Van Allen radiation belt so that it prevents us from going any further. And then we create a whole bunch of falsities and deceit to further tax people into a false belief system, much like the church does, that we can reach the stars and that we're putting equipment on planets so many millions of miles away and controlling them through programming. And that signals can relay themselves through satellites that are positioned out there to receive a signal back here on our tiny little ball spinning in space. We can do a whole bunch of, or I probably will end up doing a bunch of videos about, my deeper beliefs of all that, but keeping it into the religious and my kind of stance on everything. I experienced a lot of weird stuff as a kid, so did my wife, including what would be deemed as ghost. Potentially, those ghosts were interdimensional beings, or we classify them as interdimensional, but just because they are not necessarily at a subatomic level vibrating at our frequency to where they had physical form, but had kind of like almost a ghastly, ghostly type of form where you can see through them and whatnot, then it's perhaps that they're from just again another universe, and we're perhaps a more advanced universe than ours, still running in the same timeline that we are. But think of, as advanced as our Earth is, there are tons of simulation Earths that are perhaps still back in the prehistoric almost era, and or are even way more advanced than we are, and have possibly already gone through the level of quantum entangling universes, which is where we get the ghosting effect, because we weren't at the same level as them. Perhaps they were even further along, where they had already reached their cross entanglement and then had moved on, and were then able to move to alternate universes that aren't to that level of being able to be quantum entangled yet, but that they could still make an apparitional appearance, and that would be a hyper-conscious appearance, potentially through some piece of equipment. As I do all my videos, I try to be very careful with how I'm phrasing everything, and trying not to be at all misleading in any sense, or to not have any basis behind what I'm saying. I'm not trying to create any kind of a content that is a strictly hearsay comment. When I'm basing my stuff on CERN, there's some extrapolations to my research that have to be made, because no CERN scientist has come out to date and strictly put it out there that yes, we are responsible for what people are experiencing as a Mandela Effect because of the LHC experimentation. And nor would they come out and do that. Not yet anyways, not for a while. It's going to be really interesting here in the next 2 years. The LHC just shut down, and they're upgrading it. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of years as to whether we continue to see these quantum changes, or that everything settles down and plateaus for a while, and kind of what happens. Because if changes still appear to occur, unless the CERN is lying about their colliders still being up and running. Now, the thing is, this is just the LHC that is shut down. If you look up particle colliders on the globe, there are literally thousands of particle colliders of different sizes all over the world. Here in the US, other countries, everywhere. And they could be keeping the breach, as it were, open. Not to the level of the massive changes probably that we've seen, but then again, I don't know, because I'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens over the next couple of years. It'll be interesting. It could have been that they just kind of cracked the seal. The LHC kind of cracked the seal of the simulator that was separating our universes, and now we're going to have constant cross-contamination between the two of them. And when I say cross-contamination, I mean our conscious getting catapulted through different universes. Again, why is there residue? Because we bring it into existence through our conscious awareness of it. Yet we do not have enough control of our conscious to bring a large enough amount of residue over with us. That's my feeling on it. I hope that this kind of gives you guys a little bit of insight into me and my mind and my thoughts on stuff. It's not meant to be really an educational. None of my videos are really meant to be educational. They're just meant for me to get those thoughts out of my head and out there into the universe, out there into whatever realm we're existing in at the moment, and to get other people's shared thoughts of my thoughts, and just their shared thoughts of their own experiences. That's why I keep harping on that. I want to really exchange emails with people and get to the point of exchanging phone numbers and talking to people and growing friendships from people that are experiencing the same types of things that we're all experiencing. And perhaps we'll find answers that way, but if not, at least we could form form friendships and bonds and be able to give counsel to each other. Because otherwise, we're all just kind of alone in this. Dropping random comments on people's channels and never taking it any further than that. I mean, I did that too in the beginning, before I decided to become a content creator and put myself out there. I hid behind a YouTube channel that had no content on it and never put my face or my name out there. And I have no problem putting my name and my face out there. I have a problem putting my address and my phone number because, A, I don't just want to get bombshelled by people that are going to call me 24 hours a day until I get to know them. And B, no one needs to know where I live until we're at that level of a friendship. Being in Arizona, being in Gilbert, Arizona, there's lots of Scott Schaefers out in Arizona. And even though you could probably get to the point of tracking me down, you don't want to just show up randomly at my doorstep because that would be trouble for you. So, anyhow, a quick clue into my thoughts a little deeper and where I'm coming from and kind of where I'm going. I mean, I'm not going to ever stop doing these videos. And unless a God that is defined by man were to make a appearance to me and sit me down to have a conversation with me, I'm not going to all of a sudden jump the bandwagon. But I welcome the conversations, and I welcome deep intuition by anybody that is going to approach this carefully and use real tact and real intelligence and real care with their comments and their thoughts and their expressions. And by that means not throwing anything in someone's face of any fashion, and not claiming that anyone is right or wrong without doing their own due diligence and proper research. Anyways, to all of you, have a good weekend. I may or may not post another video this weekend, depending on what I have going on with the missus and the kiddos. And yeah, drop a comment in the comment section. Send me an email. My email is on my YouTube channel under the About section. And open up dialect so we can together get this thing worked out. Both religious-based MAs and non-religious-based MAs and all the other MAs in between. Mandela affected. Talk to you later.